States Navy. Thank you all for coming. It means a lot to me personally. And originally I was going to bring out a huge 3-ring binder and say I had a few notes that I wanted to cover, but I thought that might be too much. So I reduced it to just a couple of notes here. 30 years ago when I got in the Navy, one of the first places I got to visit was a school called Seacoast. And a few of you in the audience do know what Seacoast is. It's the Civil Engineer Corps Officer School down in Port Wayne, Navy. And one of the tasks that we got was an opportunity to think about what we wanted out of our Navy career. And having been in for a matter of just a couple of months at that point, you've got all these ideas and dreams, etc. I do remember some of the things I wrote on that, and it was a toss-up for me. Am I going to do 4 years and get out, or am I going to try to stick around? And I weighed heavily. Well, I decided the second, to stick around, and decided to make a career of it. I made 30 years, so. During that time, I've had many different positions, many different billets. My resume is in the program that's there. But there were a couple of tumultuous points in the career. One of the big ones was when I made the decision to go from active duty to reserves. That was about the 7-year point. And I had a lot of family decision behind that. I've just completed about 2.5 years of deployment and was looking at more overseas unaccompanied tours and decided to try to spend some more time with the family. So in 1989, I transitioned over. Well, lo and behold, in 1991, I got the opportunity to go for an all-expense-paid vacation to Saudi Arabia. Originally, it was trying to go to Kuwait, but the Army did a quick maneuver, ran around, and so we did not have to swim ashore with the Marines. Again, I was very thankful that we did not have to do that. After that, the Navy became a second family to me and really enhanced everything that I did. It was the one stable thing behind everything that I was doing. And once my ex-wife and I separated, that became my stability. And I thank all my shipmates who helped me through some very tough times to be able to make that be a primary support and get me through that. I was fortunate to be selected to be the commanding officer of NMCB 18, and that was in the summer of 2001. Little did I know that I'd take command just a couple days after the September 11th attacks. It was at Fort Lewis, Washington, which is a special forces base that the Army has. And NMCB 18 there standing in the ranks, thank you. If you haven't been up there yet, you'll get the opportunity. It's a beautiful, beautiful base, but as I say, I took command of it, and I did it in true CB fashion, in camouflage, because we were not going to put on the full dress Joker White presentation, change of command, right after that incident. After I completed my CO tour, I had the opportunity to finally, after 22 years in the Navy, be aboard ship for the first time for any extended time besides as an embarked troop. And I joined the 7th Fleet staff for a 6-month ADSW out of Yokosuka. After that, I had the opportunity to join the VTU up in Sacramento for a couple of years. And in May of 2007, was pulled back into a paid billet with their anticipation, which came to fruition, was to give me orders to go back to visit Southwest Asia. This particular one turned into almost a 2-year all-expense-paid vacation from my civilian job. Got to see some territory that other people only get to read about, and some places that I will always cherish. But I spent 14 months in Kuwait, enjoying the nice balmy breeze. And yes, when it got down below 110 at night is when we would come out and enjoy the cool weather. So that was a little bit stressful. Afghanistan had stress in a different manner because, yes, it was an active war zone, and yes, they were aiming at us and trying to take shots at us. Completed that, did a tour in DC, and then was transferred here to the NOSC in San Jose, and was back into the BTU. There's a few key thank yous I'd like to give. First, to my wife. She stood for quite a while. She's managed to survive 3 deployments. And that's on the military side, much less all of the out-of-town assignments from the civilian jobs. So what have we managed to be together, what, 3 years out of 12? So, keeps us from fighting a lot. John, thank you. I know it wasn't easy. And I realized when I was in Desert Storm, and it was your birthday, yet again, maybe have me somewhere besides with you on your birthday. And that hurt. But it was something I thought you would understand eventually. Skipper, thank you for welcoming me to the NOSC as a very senior member of the Executive Steering Committee. I think isn't that what you call BTU? You did get me gainful employment. I think it was the troops that enabled you to give me the gainful employment, but had some very interesting investigations to lead and put together. Skipper, thank you again for welcoming me to the BTU. And additional thank you for all the participants for taking time out. As I pointed out earlier, getting dressed up in those funny clothes that you don't normally wear on weekends, coming out looking sharp and participating in the ceremony. And friends, family, for coming. It means a lot. Thank you very much.
Will the guests please rise for the benediction and remain standing for the duration of the ceremony.
Dear God, we come before you today with mixed emotions for Captain Kuellmer, who has turned in his sword to make war no more. May he truly live in peace of mind and heart. We thank you both for him and for his wife, who have shown us the path of the patriot and the conviction of the Christian. Thank you for sending them our way. They have enriched our fellowship and elevated our professionalism. Lord, under your care, every end is a new beginning. We ask that you go with our friends into their new beginning, enrich it with the joys and blessings they so richly deserve. Amen.
Bosun, stand by to pipe the side. This order has been passed on naval ships from the 1500s through today. Spanish, French, English, Dutch, yes, all the navies of the world use the bosun side boys to call, to bring aboard, or send ashore all ships, company officers, visiting officers, and dignitaries. The side boys would haul the ropes and raise or lower the boarding platform so officers would not have to climb the rat rails which were hanging over the side and used by the enlisted crew when going ashore or to get aboard. This honor was extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials. It was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 8 strong backside boys and boatswain, to send an old shipmate ashore to his retirement home, never to sail on a naval ship again. All hands on deck were passed, speeches were made about great victories, battles fought upon the open sea, raging storms weathered, and voyages to distant and strange lands with port of calls others only dreamed about. Captain Kuellmer will now request permission to go ashore for the last time. I, mates, for 30 years, this sailor has stood the watch while some of us were in school learning our trade. This sailor has stood the watch, yes, even before some of us were even born into this world. This shipmate stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war were seen Brewing on the horizon of history, this shipmate stood the watch. Many times he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance and help, needing that hand to hold during those hard times. But he stood the watch. He stood the watch for 30 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen could sleep soundly and safely each and every night, knowing that a sailor stood the watch. Today we are here to say, shipmate, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Shipmate, you stand relieved. Bosun, stand by to pipe the side. Shipmate going ashore. Captain, United States Navy, retired, departing. United States Navy family, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Kuellmer and his family would like to thank you very much for taking part in this time-honored ceremony and cordially invite you to the reception immediately following. Thank you for coming today. Our ceremony has come to a conclusion.